Well, hi Sarah, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing really well, thank you, and it's nice to be back chatting with you.
It is, isn't it? So, what we're going to do, we're going to have a chat about Hermetic philosophy. And the reason we're looking at this is because I've finished my online course, which you can get on megalithic.tours.com or ancient co ancientwisdom.courses. So, it's 100 videos long. It's videos and additional material and stuff. It's supposed to last 6 months. Uh, it's very in depth, I think. And if you join the course, I think you get a lot from it. And also, you get to join our community, which is Order of Wisdom Beyond the Veil. So that's the introduction of my course. So what we thought we'd do, I was talking to Sarah, we thought what we could do is to support the course and to go further, deeper into Hermetic philosophy. We'll just cover the things that are not in the course, which because the course is very simple. Well, it's not simple. It's very easy to understand and follow. But we thought we would go further and deeper into Hermetic philosophy, did we?
We did, yeah, because I'm doing your course and I'm really enjoying it. And when you suggested the book that we're going to talk about over the next few weeks and months, or however long it takes, um, it just opened up a whole new world of philosophies to live your life by, really. And
As
it's
it
like a,
does,
a
yeah, yeah.
perfect add-on to that course.
Well, so it's kind of a base point. It's called the Master Key, is the Hermetic philosophy, and there are tomes and tomes and tomes about it. This is one. It's uh, Thrice Great Hermes. This is one volume. There are three volumes of that. Then there's the Hermetica. Then there's the course, the Corpus Hermeticum, and then there's the volume that we're going to study, which is the Kabbalion. Now, the overall body of work that my course and everything is based on is, well, it's called the Kabbalion. That body of work is called the Kabbalion. And this was written by the three initiates at some point. And it is a fantastic, it's only a small book, but it's so deep because like I love when things just narrow down to one precise point without going through all the all the wishy-washy bits, and all the bits that have been hidden. Because a lot of people like Levy and Crowley and all these people who follow this tradition, they've they've fluffed up the language so that you can't understand it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that the, there was a lot of persecution down through the generations of the millennia. And also, they were worried that people would take on this philosophy without understanding it deeply enough. So, what we were just discussing, and I think you agree, is that of all the things that you hear out that's got of esoteric backgrounds and everything, even religions have their basis in the Hermetic philosophy. So most religions or proper well-built religions and all philosophies, New Age, everything you look at, its basis was this Hermetic philosophy. And you've come across that as well, haven't you?
Yes, because a lot of the new age philosophy I find a bit woo woo. So,
Mm.
like things like the law of attraction and things, that kind of stuff, it all came a bit diluted for me. So, something that I first found very interesting, I thought, no, I can't get my head around this. And then when I discovered where the origin of that came from, and I read about the Hermetic principles, it suddenly all started to make
Mm.
sense again. And you can start to practice the manifestation and things like that under the correct teachings in the correct way. And there's a lot more to it than just simply sitting there and wishing for things, which is kind of what the new age version of manifestation is, isn't it? Just positive thinking and it'll come. Like
Yeah.
The Secret kind of diluted that
Mm.
hermetic principle down to water, really.
Yeah, I thought the problem is what we call can't remember the word. It's like begin very, 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 very beginners esotericism. That's the secret, because you looked at the first two keys in the major arcana, and that is pretty much the whole of the secret. And then there's like another. Well, until the teaching of the mystery school I had, it was 15 years. So it's like that's day one, and then there's the other 15 years. And people, no, the reason it won't work for people is they don't understand the principles behind it. It's like having, it's just like having the beginning day and without the rest to support it. Well, the good thing about studying the actual Hermetic philosophy is that then you understand what it's all about, and you can work with it. It's very lazy, isn't it? Just taking one little thing and saying, "Be positive and it'll work." Well, life isn't like that, and people end up going like down the wrong direction and they can get themselves in all sorts of difficult positions. Um, yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, which I've said at this point, is the tarot is not what people think it is. Now, it's like everything else we mentioned, all these things, everything is based around this philosophy. And the tarot was just a structure introduced to understand the Hermetic philosophy. And it was just the major arcana. So if people don't believe me, I mean, if you just get blank looks when you tell them, oh no, it thought it was for divination. Well, it isn't. That's not what it's for. People do that, but if you can't get past that, you're not going to get very far, because this is not about telling you future. It's about organizing and future and following your correct path in life. It's not about guessing what's going to happen in the future. So I think that what the philosophy says that it's going to open the doors to the temple of the mysteries. So what we're going to be doing in our series of courses is going right into this temple of mysteries and opening the various doors as we go along. Um, so what do you know about Hermes then? Do you want to talk about Hermes?
Oh, well,
And I'll fill the rest
Hermes
in.
Trismegistus. It's
That's the
a
fella.
fabulous name. Um, the great great, or the master of masters. Now, I don't think he existed as a man. I think it might have been a group of adepts
Mhm.
or well, wise men who came together and gave themselves that name to protect the teachings and to protect themselves from theologian persecution and things like that. And I think it was kind of all allegory, so that the people who were in the know would understand why they gave themselves the name Hermes Trismegistus, the god scribe, if you like.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, God's scribe as well, because in Egypt he became Thoth, didn't he?
Yes.
So he was the god scribe, and Hermes is the bringer of wisdom, that delivers wisdom. And I agree. I'm not. Don't think it was really one person, because they would put a body of work in one person's name. And I think a bit like Shakespeare, maybe did he write all these things? I don't know, but I know that they used to put under different people would write various treaties and put them under one name, and I think that's what Hermes was really. He was now what they do say is it came out of Egypt, but I could think it could even come further back than Egypt, because he was supposed to be. They say it was him, but whether it was him or whether it was this body work being formed together, he said it was a contemporary with Abraham.
Mm.
And that is basically it's our Bronze Age. It's looking back to our Bronze Age, about 2000 BC. So, and that would have been the Middle Kingdom in Egypt, so about the 12th dynasty. So they can date it back to that, because that's when we started getting the gods like Thoth. But I think it probably went back further than that. I think it just goes back into the mist of time. But it showed itself time and time and time again down through the millennia. And they had in Egypt, they had the Lodge of Lodges, the Lodge of Lodges of the Mysteries. That's what they called it, because people from all over the world, which is another reason why you think it must be far back, because there was people all over, there was adepts all over the planet, and they would come and they would meet in Egypt, and eventually they would meet at the Library of Alexandria, and that was like 300 BC. So all these adepts would meet from around the world, and then when the library was burned in 640 by the Islamic forces, which is at Caliph Umar, they moved from there, and it said, at least with my teaching, it said they moved to the town of Fez in Morocco, and that's kind of the last we hear of it. Everything disappeared underground after then. And what we're trying to do now, I suppose, I mean, it's obviously come above ground in the very society, but we're trying to pass these teachings on.
One of the things that I like about the teachings or the mindset of Hermes Trismegistus or whoever the group of people were for that body of work is that they agreed or they believed it was profane to try and preach this philosophy to people who weren't ready to
Mm,
receive it. And well, not least because you could be killed for it in certain times in history, especially during the Middle Ages with the religious persecution. But people who follow those teachings, those true teachings, know that it's not it's just not necessary to go out there and take this message to people that aren't ready for it. And there's a few quotes in the Kabbalion
mm.
that say that when the ears are ready, the what's this it how hold on a
I've
second,
got it
the
written
lips of
down. I've got a couple
understanding
written
are
down.
closed except to the ears of understanding. So there's only there's
Yeah,
no point in talking about this stuff unless it's to somebody who's going to truly understand it, an initiate if you like, or in
if
training.
somebody's following or got to that level,
Yeah,
and because he self-collects basically, because most people will listen to it and think, oh, that's just daft, that's not good. Some people think, oh yeah, I know it resonates with me because they're ready to move on to the next point of understanding. I mean, the whole idea of it is to plant the seed of wisdom, and then if anybody takes it up, um, then that's it's their time to do it. It's so one of the I've written down a few of them here, but one of them was from lip to ear, the truth has been handed down amongst the few, because they say there's only a few in every generation, or let the flame die out, cherished age after age in its dark cavern in the holy temple, fed by the pure ministers of love, let not the flame die out. Another one. Where fall the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teachings, wide or open wide. It's all that thing about when the student is ready, the master will appear. So we're not saying we're masters, but we're going to hopefully teach you the seeds of wisdom, or plant it at least. The
but
lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding.
that book, The Kabbalion, that blew my mind. I read, I mean, I I read I read that in one sitting, obviously not taking everything in, but I read it because I couldn't stop. It was like I should really be studying this chapter, but I just want to go on to the next one and the
You
next one and the
study it
next.
later, can't you?
And I was like, wow. It's just I sat in the garden, like, wow, wow, making notes and mental notes. And it's just made a lot of things make sense to me. So I'm looking forward to going through the individual chapters and each principle in depth. And one of the things that I liked about it the most, the whole philosophy, is when we get to talking about the all,
Mhm.
they also said it was profane to try and understand what the all is because it's
Yeah,
not for us to
absolutely.
understand what it is
Mm.
down here on this plane.
Which is kind of helpful, isn't it, really? Because I think it's that whole thing about how big is the universe. You think, well, it must be quite big because it surrounds the Earth. But then when you think, no matter which direction you go in, it's infinity. Now you can't work that out, can you? There's no mind. Our mind cannot understand that. And I think saying what is God, what is the all, what is everything, we also can't understand that. So you've got to kind of take it a little bit on faith, but it does make sense But to actually catch the on a normative it all is impossible because the whole thing about coming down to we're told um, we said that we move into limitation by moving into this planet and within this area of being. So the whole thing is limitation to the means that we can't. We're limited in our understanding. Everything's in goes from A to B. Everything's in a continuum.
Yeah.
That's what we understand because that's what this is. But when you start to think of some trying to understand that it's not in a continuum, we don't get it. We can't understand that. So you just got to take it as is
You
and to
do.
try not to say yourself nuts. Yeah.
You do. It'd be like imagining that our universe was a grain of sand on a beach, and every grain of sand was another universe or another world. You wouldn't be able to grasp that from your little grain of sand and perspective from down
No,
here. But if you was part of the all or the all, then you'd be able to see that. But we're not supposed to understand. We're not supposed to know what that all is really, because it is
no,
the
we're not.
all.
But then again, if we were a grain of sand, the beach ends somewhere. Well, our beach never ends. It goes on for infinity. It's
Yeah.
just you just can't do it, can you? It's impossible. Um, anyway, so what's the idea of originally? Again, it's because it's an individual. It's on an individual basis. We're not making a church. Um, so the idea was not to build like a dominant school, and it says that in the Kabbalion. We don't want to build a dominant school of philosophy, because what happens then is you get leaders, you get priests, and you and if you get a leader, you get a priest, you end up with dogmas and rules and regulations and things you've got to follow. And then it's all corrupted, and that's what's happened when a religion takes this on board, and then creates its own story. And within that story, the root seed is lost.
Yeah. And I obviously I've been looking around online and watching a few YouTube videos about the whole Hermetic philosophy, but I'm very careful about where I get my information from. Um, I've been getting some of the information from a channel that I watch. From is a friend of mine who runs it, Dan Updike on the TDP videocast, because I know that he is very knowledgeable on the subject. But I also caught one, I think it was the thumbnail that caught my eye on another channel. I clicked on it. It was AI generated. It was an AI voice. I thought, oh,
Oh
no.
dear.
So
Oh,
I
can't
clicked
stand
off
those.
and had a
Yeah.
look in the comments. And the comments were so ignorant, you wouldn't believe. There
Yeah.
was a comment
Okay.
in there that said, "Oh, you shouldn't mess with the this hermetic stuff because it's opening a can of worms." And it's like, what does that even mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, that does it? I mean, yeah, people can
Superstition
go
and
the wrong
cult.
way, but if you read it properly, do it properly, it's fine
Yeah,
because it's just common sense and it's the basic. Well, it's axioms and it's um, what do they call it? There's axioms and dogma, not dogmas. I think it's a word. Can't think of the word, but it precepts. That was it.
yeah,
Axioms and precepts. So what we're actually doing is following finding what the real root of nature is, the laws of nature and the laws of consciousness, and just going with them. So all you're doing really, and you're not learning anything really. All you're doing is lifting the veil. Because have you? I don't know if you feel this that when you move into another chapter of the course or whatever, it's not as if this is all new. You kind of knew it anyway, but it's like I can say it's like being told something you once knew in the past.
yeah,
You're being reminded. And that's because really deep down, we all know this. It's just that we need the veil lifting. And then you go, oh, yeah, I remember that. And once you've lifted all that, and every time you lift the veil, it's getting, you're actually become an adept in that area of the mysteries. So as long as you do it correctly and in a good structure, then it makes a lot of sense. And it's life changing. It really is life changing.
yeah. There was another comment in these. on these videos. One had said that, oh, I read that book, The Kabbalion, and didn't do anything for me because it didn't give me any answers or tell me how to apply the principles. And I thought, you haven't read that book at all, because it tells
Well,
you in the introduction that they're not going to tell you how to apply the principles, because you, as the student, should be able to work that out for yourself. Otherwise, it's just going to be a load of words to you.
that's a prime example of somebody not ready.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'm sure when you read it, like I say, you think, oh yeah, oh this makes sense. Oh, I can go with this. This is oh wow, everything is a revelation, even though you kind of knew it before. But and that's it. That's how it self selects. So that person will go away. But what I always, I mean, they did say that it's not something that should be passed on to everybody. But I don't really agree with that because I think it could be passed on and just a seed planted. And eventually that person might go away and that seed will grow because they'll go into your subconscious and your subconscious will say, I recognize that. It might feed something back to you, which is what we're taught. One of the things we're taught in the course. So sometime in the future, that little seed that you can pass on or they read or they see might flower.
Yes, like when the student's ready, the master will appear. So in this case, when
Absolutely.
the student's ready, the video will appear, the information will appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And and then what you find as well is you can read something and you can go back 2 or 3 years later and read it again and it says something different to you
Yeah.
because the first part is sucked in and you go deeper. You go further into sort of the universal wisdoms. I suppose you grow in wisdom, and then you're able to understand the next bit.
Yeah. I give an example of that. I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, stop me if I am, but with the law of polarity.
Hmm.
Now, years ago, when I was dabbling around in the New Age world, which was a rite of passage, we've all fallen into that at some point in our lives. And they talked about, they were very dualistic in thinking it's love, and hate and light and dark and this and that. And they're all for one, they're all for the love, they're all for the light. Um, they don't want to face evil, they don't want to face any of the bad stuff. But then when you start to read about the law of polarity and you realize actually they're they're just two extremes of the same continuum, if you like, the same line.
They
And
are. They're
they
exactly the
just
same
move along
thing.
by degrees, don't you?
Mm. Yeah, because yeah, polarity it is. It's because you've got if you concentrate on one side of it, again, you can use the example of the tree of life. You've got the central pillar, and you've got the female and the male pillars, Joachim Boas, and the central pillar of equilibrium. But the way I see it is, you can move. You're supposed to. You can get your eyes on the central pillar, but your experiences are on both sides. So, I mean, they say you've got to be loved, got to be loved, got to be loved. Well, if you love bomb somebody, you're going to lose them, aren't you? You're going to lose you know, that you can't go through your life in that state, and you shouldn't because we have a dark side. We all have a dark side, and you can visit your dark side every. Sometimes you need your dark side. Imagine if your country gets invaded and you have to fight. You've got to go right into your dark side then. But your dark side is actually your good side at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're actually looking. It's love that makes you go into your dark side. So it's a lot more complicated. I think the overall thing I'm trying to say is you move from side to side and don't be worried about it as long as you draw yourself back to equilibrium when that little lesson's over. When you stop killing the infidel, you come back to the center again and rise. And then you may go to the love side, but then you think, oh, hang on, it's going a bit far. Then come to the center. It's that whole thing about if you if you have too much light, you blind yourself. You know, so it's yeah, and this again is the new age going off half cocked with half a story. But when you just understand both sides, the sort of the root, as they call it, the root philosophy, then you can work with it much better. You can rise up the central pillar.
You can, and I think dualism is one of the main problems in the world at the moment. It's why the world is like it is, because you've either got to be this or
Mm,
that, or something is this or that, and there's nothing in the middle. And there's a whole grey area like on the tree of life, that
Yes,
whole
there
grey
is. Yeah,
area on the middle piddle in the middle pillar. And people with a dualistic mindset, they're like, oh no, 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 it's evil, it's evil, it's evil. Oh no,
mm,
no, no, it's all positive, positive, positive. But there's this whole thing in the middle by degrees that you can
yeah,
travel along, and it's all and it because it's the same thing, just different degrees of it, like hot and
yeah.
cold.
Everybody's polarized, aren't they now?
Yeah,
You're either far right or you're far left.
yeah.
And it's it's not it's not a healthy way. And I think the more that's another reason why I did the course, because we're in a terrible time at the moment. We're not in a healthy time at all, and I don't know how it's going to pan out. But I think all a person can do is pass on what they know and build yourself and learn yourself. And I think we said this before, but if everybody did that, then everything would be solved because you wouldn't be busy working out what somebody else is doing. You'd be busy growing yourself because the Hermetic teachings are an individual thing. It's about you finding your direction in life and following it and building your wisdom as you go. And you will build your wisdom because as you learn and as you move forward, you'll learn more about the way this universe of ours operates, the way it is.
That would have an effect on global consciousness as well, I think, because
Mm,
as we'll get into eventually, the under the Hermetic teachings, the world, this reality, is mental, is a mental
mm,
construct, if you like, of the all. So, and we're part of that. So we're all part of that. So if just a few people taking on these concepts and living by them, which you're then living authentically, that has to have, under the laws of these universal laws, that has to have a knock-on effect, um, and help to bring the pendulum back to the center, or well, back the other way, because it's going to eventually,
mm.
it'll go back to the extreme, but it always comes back. And I think that the more people understand the concepts and try to live authentically, has a ripple effect, and it inspires and
Absolutely.
encourages more people to do the
Mm.
same.
Well, they say that we were made in the image of God, whatever God is, because we can't understand it. But God's a mind, and we're a mind, and our mind affects the bigger mind. So what generally happens, and I'm sure that there are organisations that we don't know about that understand this fully well, and they feed things out, feed things out, feed things out, knowing that the more people they can convince that that are certain things true and we're going in a certain direction, the more people think it, the more it's emphasized, it makes it happen. Because if everybody's thinking one thing, that one thing will occur. So all we can do really is convince, well, not convince other people, but introduce other people to these. Because it's a shame that people have lost this philosophy. Because if they still had it, they would know
Yeah.
that be very careful what you. Well, they say be careful what you wish for. It's a profound truth, isn't it? Because what you wish for can suddenly happen. And unfortunately, when you've got 90% of the population subconsciously wishing something to happen, then you can bet your life it's going to happen. But all we can do is, I suppose, maybe it is still the truth that there's only a few that can move this forward. But because I think that because we're following the truth, that has got to be more powerful than a lie. I hope so. And like you say, we know, don't we? Because of one of the rules of nature that things are circular, things go round and round. Well, actually, they spiral up. So whatever we're experiencing now, like you said, will flip the other way. It's bound to. And before it flips the other way, it'll end up in the middle at some point. Well, it's going to.
Yeah. And I think when you live authentically like that, and truthfully like that, you you get to meet your authentic self, if you like, in the sense of your daemon or your inner self, higher self, whatever you want to call it. Um, and that in itself is magical because if you're doing magic or doing any magical practices, then a lot of that kind of takes place on the astral realm, which I think and I believe that's where your authentic self or daemon kind of resides. And that's how you can get in touch with your subconsciousness much better. It'll speak to you more clearly if you're in touch with your inner self or higher self or daemon. There's lots of words for it, so I'm just trying to be all inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the rules is, you ask that question, somebody, who are you? That's one of the questions you ask. And you come up with answers like where you work, where you live, what your parents are, and all that. But that's not, is it? Because that is just your personality. And when you start thinking about, well, actually, what was the example? I said something like, um, think about something like a tree and so can you remember what I said about that? It was something like you are not your personality, you're something much deeper than that. Your personality is like it's like a graphic interface you might get on a computer. It's a program so that your inner self, which you can't see or believe, your daemon, can just speak and interact with other ones. So what you see is a personality that you build up, but your real inner self is something totally different. I mean, people, and many people don't even consider that. They think they are their job.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
going to be.
I suppose your personality is like your clothing, isn't it? Like on the
Mm.
Fool card. He's got his,
Absolutely. Well, it's a chariot, isn't it?
yeah,
You say we are not the chariot, we are the charioteer, and the chariot is your personality. So the chariot, which is your inner self, you've been sorry, charioteer, sat on the chariot, that's your inner self, but you're being carried along
yeah,
through where the chariot, and that's the chariot is your personality. So you're yeah, that's your inner self is something that's been carried through this existence by your personality.
that's right. I was doing a meditation practice the other night actually, and I was visualizing myself with um a light around me. So I was watching myself in my mind's eye with this light, and all of a sudden I thought, who's that? Who's the watcher? Who's that
Oh yeah.
watching me?
Mm.
Is that me?
Oh yes, that's the thing,
It's
isn't it? Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Sort of about the tree. That was it. So you sit and look at a tree, and you think, "What's watching the tree? Is it my personality that's watching the tree? Well, no, it's not. Is it the job I do? There's something else, some inner. That's how you can think. Well, there is. There's an inner being here. There's
Yeah.
something, an inner self that's doing the watching. It's not your personality. It's a concept that you can get your mind around, but it's don't know if I'm explaining it that well at the moment, but that's it, isn't it? That's that thing.
Is that like saying if a tree fell down in the woods and there was nobody there to hear it, would it make a noise? Is that kind of the same thing?
Talk about the other day. I don't know. It's. I think it's the idea is that you're actually just trying to make an example of what you're doing. I mean, if you're driving a car, then you pretty much are driving a car. But if there's something inside you that is not what people interact with, and that is the thing I think it's your spirit, isn't it? Your soul, and that's the thing that comes and dwells in this thing. Because I mean, there's a part in the Kabbalic teachings that says that we build our body through our mind. We build our body up, and we cover our inner self with this body, and then eventually we get to the point where we think, oh, it's time to go, so we start disintegrating the body. It's us that does it, and eventually, when the body ends deteriorated enough, we go off somewhere else. So it's that thing that travels out of this existence and goes somewhere else that is really us, not
Yeah.
our body and our personality. That's just the chariot.
Yeah. Your spirit, your
Yeah,
essence, if you like, the thing
mm.
that
The
goes
inner
back.
essence.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Yeah. And A lot of people, like you said, don't even know their own inner essence, do they? Because they're
Most people
surrounded
don't
too
think
much
even think of it.
mind noise going on.
Listening to just talking and communicating on a very basic level. Did you go to the football or such and such a thing? And did you watch this on TV? And that's all this worldly stuff, which is fair, fine, great, because we are here, and it's very, very important that we interact with what we've got here and not think about our spirit and our soul all the time. But it is important that because that is what we're trying to build, this inner essence.
Yeah.
We're not building our personality. That's not the point of the Hermetic tradition, anyway. So I'm just thinking, we mentioned that it was a religion that killed off Hermetic tradition, the root, the root, the root, what we call the root cause, the root wisdom, basically. So I think that the Christian religion, once upon a time, I think we all knew all this stuff to some extent, and then the Christian religion came along, and I think it encapsulated it, and I think it used it, and then and about, I think it ended in, it says it's in the Cabillion, did it? That it was around the Constantine, which would have been about 300 AD, when Constantine decided he wanted to. Well, it was basically the idea was he wanted to carry on the power of the Roman Empire, didn't he? So he killed off Christianity and made it into his religion, and that's when I think we lost all this wisdom totally. It all went, and then it became the point that if you did, like the Cathars, if you did follow this openly, follow this tradition, then you were basically put to death. So I think many, many thousands of people have died through, and this is another reason why they kept it quiet. But I suppose that the main thing is that all these maxims, the axioms and precepts, they've been passed down and been passed down and been passed down. So we are now in a position where we won't get, well, not at the moment, anyway, we won't get put to death for passing these things on. I do wonder what's going to happen soon, but because you never know. So we've got the Kabbalion, because this is what the message is. It's called the Kabbalion. It's in this book. And luckily, we're able now to pass this on to everybody else.
Yes. And hopefully, people will read that, want to get a copy of that book and read it because it is eye-opening. And in
Yeah,
some cases, I won't say too much, but it can be life-changing. Things can come
absolutely.
along that you think, oh, wow, where did that come from? Oh, that was quick. I've been working towards that, but I wasn't expecting it to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
along so quickly. So you just have to go with the flow, don't you? And not
But
have any limitation.
you have to. I mean, don't. At one point, you ask, "How can I serve?" And then you try and find what your will is, and your will is really your dharma, your real direction in life. And it's bad news if you go through all the process of asking this, and then when it comes along, you don't do it. But that's where you have to do some inner searching. So, oh, this has come to me. This is my direction. Am I going to do it, or am I going to decide not to follow it? You come to the road, the diversion in the forest with two roads split, and I can't remember the name of the poet, but he said, "I took the road less travelled," and it's
About the
whether you've got,
fork in the road.
yeah. They said two roads diverged in the forest. I took the one less travelled. And if that is your right road, if you've been showed that road, when you've been asking, show me what my will is, what my right direction is, and when it comes, you've really got to take it, haven't you? You can't bottle out at that stage.
I would say always go the road less traveled because, following the Hermetic principles are the road less traveled. Because most of the people are on the other road, aren't they? Just the five
Yeah.
sensory road, if you like, or the material world, the football, the TV, things like that. But when you look at these principles and how the universe is, and how it's a mental construct, and I don't mean that in the sense of a simulation. We'll come to that when we talk about the all,
Mhm.
but it is a mental construct, for want of a better word, and it's magical, and by following these principles and things, you can make things happen according to your own will, which is what
Mhm.
magic is, really.
Yeah, and Crowley said, what did he say? Like your will be the whole of the law. And what he meant is exactly that thing. And obviously people are like, oh God, that's so evil, so selfish. But it's not. What he said was find your true direction, your true spiritual direction in life and follow it. And the wonderful thing is when you do that, you end up all synchronicities jump into place. Then you think, well, I didn't expect that. And once you start going down that road, because you're doing the right thing, you're following your nature's path, things are provided for you. And that is in my experience of life. It really, really does happen that way. And then you end up doing things that you never expected doing because you don't know where this path leads. You say, okay, I'm off that path now. You don't know where that path is going, and you don't know what what amazing things can open out in ahead of you.
It's true. And it can be a bit scary as well. But
Oh
again,
yeah,
if you go back to the law of polarity and you see that courage and fear are just two opposites of the same thing, then you just kind of train yourself to go degrees towards courage, towards feeling courage to go down that path and to follow these things that have been put in front of you and not question them too much, more just go with the flow and think, well, this opportunity's come. I'm going to knock on the door. I'm going to go in.
yeah. Never thought about that. The idea of the courage and fear, yeah,
Yeah,
because it can be daunting thinking, oh my God, I've got to change everything I'm doing and go somewhere else and do something else. Scary.
it's terrifying when you think about it because
Yes, yeah,
everything you're
yeah, yeah.
used to is not going to be there anymore. But
I know.
again, it's by degrees, isn't it? You change and you get used to things day by day, step by step. So, yeah.
So I think we've. Have you got anything else on this? Because you know you've read it all as well. You want to add to it?
Yeah, I've read it once. I read it quickly because I enjoyed it and I couldn't, you think, well, I want more, 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 give me more.
Mm.
Now I'm reading it chapter by chapter, and I've actually got a little commonplace book that I've been taking notes in as well, so that I'm really understanding it. And it's actually the commonplace book that I've used today to help me remember what I want to say about it because it is a lot.
Was that like notes?
Yeah, just little scribbled notes in a
Yeah,
journal from
yeah,
each
yeah.
chapter
Mhm.
or quotes that have stood out and things.
Mm.
Um, but I love it. And have I got a favourite principle? I probably, yeah, polarity, the law of polarity. I think we can all learn something from that. And the law of mentalism. That blew
Mm.
my mind about the all.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
absolutely was mind blowing to me and made sense.
yeah. They do, don't they? They make once you get into the room, make a lot of sense. So, and what we're going to do, or the plan is to go through I think there are seven principles, or maybe seven laws, something like that. We'll go through all these. We'll have a video about each of them, and hopefully there'll be an eye opener for people, and they'll go and get on my website and consider taking the course and coming along with and joining our organisation. Sounds a bit daft, weird that like a cult, but it's only a Facebook group where people swap ideas and swap thoughts and swap um, experiences going through the course. So it's like a little community to help you along, really.
It's to me, it's a mystery school.
It is a mystery school, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
It
is.
is,
Mm,
and I'm on your course, and there's a couple of others on your course,
mm.
and I'm really enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail about what's on there because you don't do that with mystery schools, and
It won't be a
so
mystery.
it wouldn't, would it? And hermetic means sealed anyway, and
Absolutely, yeah. Mhm.
so. But really, go and check it out and have a look because I'm learning loads on there. Really am. I don't know if you can see our progress as we go along, teacher. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I think so, yeah. But it's a strange thing that people, somebody else that's on it who's doing things in their life that they'd never done before. They said, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's great fun. And stepping out, doing this, doing that. And they said, it's all your course, that's made me do this. It's like, if things pop in, yeah, things appear
It
and
does
you'll
open
find a
your mind.
direction.
It
Mm,
opens your mind. And some of the ways that you describe some things in the lessons, again, I'm not going to go into detail because it's
in the
occult,
course.
it's secret. Go join the course, but um, it all builds on from the previous teaching that you give, and then you start to see these connections from one thing to another, and you think, I never have been looking at this, and I've been aware of this for years, but I didn't see all these connections. I never knew that, and you give practical advice on how to put that into action in everyday life as well, and I really like that at the end
Mm.
of each chapter. So it's been helping me.
Yeah, because I mean, a wisdom teaching is no good unless you can bring it into your life and do it and have a practical way to use it. Otherwise, it's just head stuff, isn't it? It's like, what's the point? That's the
But
plan.
what I like with you is you give examples. You don't say you must do this, you must do that. You say, right, how can we bring this into our daily life? And you give some examples because everyone's different, aren't they? We've all got different ways of
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. You can't. Yeah, there is no. You have to do this because it's just pointing people on their own journey,
yeah,
and that's the problem with religion, isn't it? That you end up somebody else, the person stood at the front of the whatever the religious organisation is. They're doing the spiritual journey, and they're doing your journey for you. When really you should be doing your own journey, not having somebody else, you know,
yeah. And
doing all the well, not all the work, but the
telling you how to think.
yeah, and they're doing all the spiritual development, and you're just sat there listening
Yeah. I
when you
think
should really be
religion,
developing yourself.
it dilutes everything, religion.
It does, yeah, yeah. As everything does. I mean, a lot of things like you were talking about New Age and everything, they have various concepts. But there's no point having loads of concepts because they'll just bang into each other, they'll collapse against each other. You need to be able to put them in a strategic and structured way to move forward and to build each, like say, each thing builds on the last one, on the last one, on the last one. So at the end, you have a whole understanding of the whole process, and then you understand it. You can work with it.
And these principles are so profound and life changing, like you say. And I think that they're very, very important. And I don't say that lightly either. And I think things like The Secret, the book, and the film, I think did it a huge discredit because
Yeah, it's
it made it
unfortunate.
all seem woo woo and new
They did,
agey, and it's
yeah,
not. The true teachings
yeah.
are.
It's things like that are just like day one of a 10-year course, you know.
Was it done purposely to put people off the trail, and send them down this yellow brick road? I don't know, but
No, I don't either. But that was quite a while ago, wasn't it? And it's just a shame. And what was the other one? There was um, the power of the mind thing.
was
Um,
that Eckhart Tolle?
no, he was pretty
Power
good,
of
wasn't he?
Now?
No, there was another one once it were. But anyway, it's the same sort of thing as a secret, really. I mean, it's like you're taking one brick out of a building and trying to understand the whole building. It doesn't work that way. You need to know it all. When it doesn't work, it can't happen. Because I think if you're just looking at one direction, one thing, you're not really in with it. We say by the time we get to the end of the course, and then you're actually in the engine room of the universe. You're not. You are part of the engine room. You know that you're controlling the universe, and you're doing it. Um, you're doing it in your purposefully.
Yeah.
You're purposely working in the as part of the engine of the universe, rather than just taking one little thing and saying, "I want this to happen." Well, you won't unless you understand everything else. It ain't gonna happen,
No, it's not. It's
and you
not.
end up going the wrong direction. Then,
Yeah, and then you don't want it to happen like that, do you? You want it to be purposeful and focused.
yeah, of course you do. Yeah, yeah, because then you're working with universe. I love saying you're going with the flow of the universe, and then not instead of you're flowing with the flow instead of like a salmon trying to swim upstream. And then it's easy. You don't
Easy.
have to strain. And the whole thing about all this is that what you're doing, you're just putting an idea into your subconscious, and then subconscious does all the work. You don't have to really do anything. You see a lot of spiritual training methods where you have to sit there and you work and you work and you work. But the more you work at something, the less effect it has. Because the more you work at something, the more you're telling your subconscious that it doesn't happen. You know, if you're really working to make one thing um, manifest, like putting signs on it, then what you're saying, the more you work, the more your subconscious is being told you don't have it. It doesn't exist. It's not going to work. The more if you just say, "Oh, I want this," and I'll let it happen, then the universe can let it happen. But if you keep saying, "I want it to happen, I want it to happen, I want it to happen," you're telling your subconscious this is not happening. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Can I give you an example of that? Okay, so I was doing some meditation work and I was talking to my subconscious. I'd gone into like a relaxed state, like down into an alpha state, and I was talking to my subconscious. And I asked it, or I programmed it, if you like, because I did it over a number of nights, and I asked it to wake me up in the middle of the night or whatever time was possible when somebody else's subconscious would be alert to receiving because I need a new sofa
Yeah.
because the dog had destroyed the sofa. So I need to get into somebody's mind about I need a new sofa and I don't want to pay a lot of money for one. So if anybody's got one for sale, I need you to. I want to try and transfer that thought into their mind. So can you
Right.
wake me up at the appropriate time in the night when that person is going to be most receptive to receiving the message? Now I did this over a couple of nights and I woke up 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was, and then in my mind I'm saying, I need a new sofa. I don't want to pay a lot of money for it. So if you've got one, get in touch. I'm here. I'll take it off your hands. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, a friend rang me and said,
Wow, great.
I'm helping my friend do a flat clearance. She's moving to Devon. She's got to be gone. And there's a load of stuff here. Do you want to come and have a look? If there's anything you want, there's a sofa here. There's this, that. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, I've still got the sofa now.
Wow, great. Yeah, yeah.
Sofa.
But things like that happen.
Yeah.
They really, really do. I remember that story, and I've told you before, that somebody I was I met somebody I hadn't met for ages and said, "How you doing?" And it was kind of well, not very well. I'm a bit lonely. I'm in my house all the time and no friends, never really go out. Nothing to, I think I say this in the course actually. And it's a very depressing time. So I told them some of this sort of philosophy stuff to work. Then I saw them again in the post office. And I said, "Oh, how did it all go?" And they said, "Oh, that was useless, that stuff that you told me." No, but it's because it was only a couple of weeks after I ended up meeting somebody who was a member of a club, and I went to join this club, and I've been going out with them ever since. So that's didn't need all that stuff. I thought, yes,
Oh, yeah, you've missed the point there, haven't
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah,
There's nothing like gratitude, is there?
I know. They don't put the two together, fit the two together. They just thought. The funny thing is, my sofa's going tomorrow on the tip. I've had it 20 years and it's got a bit of threadbare, so I've got the council to pick it up tomorrow. So that's good, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that stuff does work.
Yeah,
Not
oh,
saying
it does.
every
Yeah, yeah.
time, but it's worth doing.
All right. So, and also the safeguards that we learn about, aren't they? So that's another thing because you just don't go half cocked in a direction until you've tested it. So, anyway, I think we've covered it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I mean, I'll talk about this for hours now because I just love it. That book has, like I say, has blown my mind.
Just looking at what the first precept
Is
is.
mentalism, isn't it?
Yeah, mentalism.
Yeah, it's a big one. That I think
So,
there's 3 chapters on that whole on just that one precept in that
we should
book.
be able to manage a video on that then. So
Yeah,
the first precept is, or the first Hermetic um, precept is, yeah, mentalism. So that could be our next video.
yeah, that's a big one. That is a mind blower.
So we'll say goodbye then, eh? Say goodbye to
Yes,
everybody.
and thank you for having me on, Neil. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, we're kind of doing this together, aren't we? So We'll
Student and master.
well, we're learning at the same time, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah,
And every time you go through it again, you learn more.
yes, you do.
Right. So goodbye to everybody. See you in the next
Goodbye.
one.
Thank you.